Inequality is one of the big concerns for you. I mean, that's happening in Singapore as well. And a lot of chatter about a wealth tax. Your thoughts on that? I mean, it is a fine balance, no? I mean, it could impact Singapore as an attractive destination for wealth.
Well, if they have to do it, they've got to do it at a time when the whole world is ready for it. Right now, most people in the world are in this mood of, what can we do to make a difference? And so, 5 years ago, Warren Buffett was the only person who said I should get taxed more. Today, more and more people who are rich and wealthy are open to the idea that maybe they need to pay a couple of percentage points more in tax to address the social
So you're saying the time is right?
Issues. So I think the time is not bad to think of that, if you will. In Singapore's context, frankly, it's as much a political and optical question as it is an economic question. By and large, wealth tax around the world has not been a huge source of revenues because whereas Europe or whereas France, by and large, people therefore gave up the wealth tax because it's not easy to implement and money flies. There are a couple of ways in which you can make wealth tax work. One is property, and Singapore already does that. So you could dial up taxes on property because that's a pure wealth tax. And the other is inheritance. We had inheritance tax till 10, 15 years ago, so you could look at inheritance. Any other form of wealth tax, particularly on capital and so on, I think would be difficult to implement and might be unwise given Singapore's positioning and overall architecture. But irrespective of what we do, I think some of what we need to do is, actually, like I said, it's the optics and addressing this inequity issue, the social tensions around that. In reality, what Singapore's model is far more nuanced and far more intelligent. Because Singapore is the only place in the world where the government still has a substantial ownership of the means of production in the country. And they leave it to the private sector to manage, but they still own the assets. And I just tell people, it's quite, 30% of us is owned by Temasek. And therefore, they leave it to us to manage. We run the bank. But every year, I write $1 billion check, which goes eventually into the government coffers to help with the social safety net in the system. I think that's a very clever way to actually take and redistribute without actually going through the taxation route.